So before I start talking, I have to tell this story. How many people in here have referred to Ben as Simon?
Drawings.
Yeah, I don't understand why people are calling me Simon. Like, hello, my name is Simon. He goes, I still don't get it. But so I explained to him about the Michael Myers. Wait, Michael Myers. Yeah, that whole skit with, and I like drawings. So now he knows, so I keep calling him Simon. So that was fun. But he found out about it through following the hashtag. So I'm Sarah Evans. I run Seven Strategy, a new media consultancy based out of my third bedroom in my home. And I'm very happy. It's a company that is 7 months old, and it was the biggest risk I've ever taken in my life, so I'm really hoping that it pays off. And what I'm going to talk about today is really how to stand out online. So it's kind of meshed together with my personal story, but I also I really provide more tactical level of ideas and concepts for things that you can take away and use. So I hope you find something. But my caveat before starting today is I ask a lot of questions online, and people think that that's really insightful, but I ask a lot because I really don't know a lot, and so I learn from people in my community. So part of my presentation is 9 things that you can do to help stand out online. You need to pay attention because at the end, you're not only going to ask me questions, I've got some questions to ask you. So, it's busy online. So insightful. Okay, so there's a lot of tweets per minute. And I put these stats in at the beginning because it gives you some tweetable tips. So if you're live tweeting, you can tweet stats and they'll get retweeted like crazy. So it's for you. So go ahead, take it. 31 million U.S. internet users will write blogs in 2010. More than 104 million will read them. Dang. 79% of the 100 largest Fortune 500 use Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or blogs to communicate with Twitter as the platform of choice. So truly, this is just to make you look good, tweet some stuff, add the hashtag, get retweeted. So I want to give a personal example now, and I'll tell you why, after I give the example, why I'm giving it. So back in February in Chicago, something that we weren't used to happened. Does anybody remember? Yeah, there was an earthquake. So it happened at 4 a.m., and it actually woke me up. And, oh, this is being recorded, but, so the night before, my husband, he talks in his sleep, and he said something like, they're coming, and I was like, so the next night, I wake up in the bed shaking, and I was like, oh my God. And we live in a 100-year-old house. About 2 seconds, I was like, is this a ghost? I think it's an earthquake. But to verify, since he wouldn't wake up, I tweeted. My phone's next to my bed, I admit it, so I really did, I tweeted. Something weird, felt like a quake, can anyone else confirm? And I was really looking for someone in my network to just say, yeah, that's what it is, because that would de-escalate the situation that was brewing in my head. I haven't heard back from anyone yet, so the next thing I did was search the words Chicago and earthquake, and this is what popped up. Couldn't ask for anything better. And then, you know what? Media, I tweeted you and you never tweeted me back. At that time, then a lot of people started responding, yeah, I felt something, is everyone okay? I could feel the escalation, it was escalating. And part of my role as a PR practitioner has always been to de-escalate. How do you de-escalate the situation? So I went into PR mode, yes, at 4:07 a.m. There's a lot of us tweeting, I'm guessing it was minor. I added the hashtag so it was easily now searchable and findable for those of us who were up and wanted to talk about it. Then went into information mode and went to the USGS site and saw, oh, they need data on the Did You Feel It form that they can use to help track the earthquake. And so started tweeting about that. Then, because I'm a PR person, of course I direct messaged my friend at CNN, hey, if you need a source, Chicago, I'm here. And then because I had nothing better to do at 5 a.m., I went to CNN iReport, and I thought maybe I'll be the first person to document my story about the minor quake. And because I'm in PR, I know that if it's like, it felt like a train coming through the house. That's a great soundbite. But at 5:04, my cell phone rang. And at this time, my husband did wake up and yelled, shut the door. True story. He's here today, but I don't think he's in the audience, so I'm okay. And on the phone was Jen Preston, the social media editor of the New York Times. And at the same time, she had tweeted me saying, can I have your number? Can you call me for an interview? So in the meantime, she also said, go look at Sarah's feed, how she's managing during this. She identified what I was doing with informing, directing people, de-escalating, that sort of thing. So she interviewed me, wrote an article, tweeted about the article. It went live on the front page of the New York Times with an awesome shout out to my business, which for me is really important. So the cell phone rang again at 6:15 a.m. This time it was a producer from CNN iReport who wanted to vet my story. CNN iReport Twitter feed started directing people to my Twitter feed, saying, hey, check out what she's doing. They updated my report with a quote, and I was front page of CNN.com around 6:40, again a shout out, and then they linked back to my iReport, which I haven't checked the number lately. This was after like 7 hours of it being posted. It had been viewed 6,200 times, which was awesome. But the ultimate result for me was that I received 5 viable business inquiries that day of people who said, wow, it looks like you know something about social media and how to work with traditional media. Can you do that for my company, what you did right there? And that was my goal. That's what I want to accomplish. I don't do traditional PR, marketing, advertising, outreach for my own company. But I want to be viewed as a trusted resource, especially in terms of ways to use online networks and social media to communicate. So I felt like that was living my brand in action. Not just saying, I know how to do this, but I love to show action. I love to be the person that's creating or living case studies. So I would challenge you to think now that I just shared that, what your goal is, or what your company's goal is, or what your brand's goal is, and know what you want to accomplish. And this gets back at what Chris was talking to in the morning. You buy a car, you don't just get in and drive somewhere. So first, to build what your strategy is, where do you want to go? So is it to build business? Is it to establish yourself as an expert? To be famous? I mean, whatever your goal is. It might be one of these, it might be something else. The other. So now I want to share with you 9 ways to stand out online. They may not all work for you, and in fact, you may find a way to revise, revamp, or discredit something. Let me know. The first one is find an opportunity to showcase what you do best. That was what number 1 was. That was my example. I knew in my head when I woke up in the morning, I thought, as soon as I realized this is an earthquake, I'm like, opportunity, this doesn't happen in Chicago. I bet I can leverage networks. But I want to add a caveat to that. That wouldn't have just happened if that was my first day jumping on Twitter or another social network tool. One of the things that Jen Preston said when she called me was, I want you to know I don't go to the front page of NewYorkTimes.com first thing in the morning. I go to TweetDeck, and you're one of the featured people I follow. So that's how I found out about the earthquake. And then I called the news desk and said, did you know about this? So it was a different way to find out about a story and land a source. Same with CNN iReport. I built relationships with the folks at CNN, providing information, giving them resources, asking to interview them for things. So when I actually needed to put a request in or had an opportunity, it was a very natural fit. So again, this was many, many months, if not years of work coming through to fruition.